All right. It's Jared here from Crypto Plan, and I hope that everyone had a great Christmas. I know that I did. I got to spend lots of time with the family, had a few beers, just did the thing, watch the kids enjoy the presents, and did sneak a look at the charts every now and again, and obviously trying to make sense of the XRP situation and trying to understand it. And it wasn't until last night when I saw another fellow YouTuber that actually saw the writing on the wall of what was going to happen a month ago. So he says, and claims that it's nothing to do with the SEC, which is what I agree with, is that the SEC's news comes out at the time when it was retracing anyway, and probably just pushed it a little bit further than it might have naturally gone. And I'm going to explain that through the charts, like I always do, in a short and concise video. So we're going to take a deep dive into the XRP chart today. But before we do, please smash that like button, hit subscribe, especially if you've watched a few videos and you're sitting on the edge. Just click the subscribe button so you get notified and so it always comes up in your newsfeed. And also click the notification bell if you are super keen on this information. Now, if you held XRP through all this craziness, well done. If you bought XRP halfway to the moon and sold it out, well, it is not over for you. You can still regain your composure and understand what is going to happen through this video. We are on the monthly chart right now. I have a few things set up. I have down the bottom here, I have an RSI. An RSI tells us whether something is overbought or oversold. So on the monthly chart, XRP was kind of neither overbought nor oversold. It was in the middle. But you can see that in November, it was severely bought up. It was severely spiked. This is where the FOMO came in. This is where the YouTube hype of XRP to 100 comes in and everyone buys in, and you can clearly see what happened. But we'll talk about that candle later. I've also got a yellow line here, which is the it is the 12 bar moving average or the yearly moving average. So you can see that XRP has been falling and it's been sticking pretty close to its yearly moving average. This blue line is its 3-year moving average. So when these two lines converge, it kind of is confirmation that we are bullish. When this is up here and that is intersecting, it is confirmation we are bullish. What has happened is that we've got this green line. It is on a downtrend. So we've been on a downtrend since February 18, even earlier. So you can see that all the way along, it's testing this line. Yeah, it breaks out a little bit, but it's generally testing this line. It's hugging this line until July. And July is when we got that first pump, right? That confirmation of a breakout, and then into August. So we got up as 32, 33. Great. But then we retraced and we had these other 2 months of horrible consolidation. It felt so painful. And because that spring was wound so tight and it didn't just kind of creep up like it maybe should have, what happened was all the hype and all this chat about stick with XRP, it's going to go to the moon, it's going to go to the moon, and it will eventually in its due course. It overshot a couple of resistances. So we've got a monthly resistance here of 44. So it overshot that. We're expecting it to do that. But more than likely, it probably should have just slightly overshot 57 and sat somewhere in the 60 range. But what did it do instead? It went all the way up to 79 and even further on Coinbase, which is that FOMO retail hype buy-in, right? But what do people do then? They sit there and they watch the price go down the next month. And they watch the price go down as low as 47, I think even 41 at some point it had gone down to. And they sit there and they go, well, I bought this thing at 39, 40, 41, 42, 50. I bought it somewhere in this green candle when everything was never going to go down, and then it slowly goes down. So they start to get anxious and panicky, and they see other things in the market going up and up and up, and they're like, I'm going to jump ship. And so there's a few people jumping ship along the way. And I'm going to go to the daily now to show you what was happening. I'm going to show you exactly what was happening. That. And once again here, if you see our green lines here, it's been following that, right? So that's our uptrend. That's where we should have been following. You know, by all rights, we should have been steadily going up along this line. But we deviated a lot, right? We deviated from that line by 230%. Now, you do not have to be a rocket scientist or a chart analyst to understand that if something deviates from its general trend by 230%, it is due for a correction. Now, some people thought, and I believed some people that thought this, that it was due to hold support at this 45-cent level. I did believe that. I believe that it hit it there, it attempted to get it there, and it attempted to get it there. And I thought, well, if it does what it did in the last consolidation, onwards and outwards, it's following Bitcoin. But I think the problem is that when it tried to reach here and people got hopeful, they had the hopium that it was going onwards and upwards, there was actually people going, well, I wanted to sell out there and I didn't, and it went down to here. Now I'm going to sell out there because I'm chasing some other things. I've got itchy feet, I'm restless. So even before, and I'm going to zoom in even closer, even before the SEC news, on the 19th of December, there was selling. On the 20th of December, there was selling. On the 21st of December, there was selling. On the 22nd of December, there was selling. And then this was when the news was really hitting the world. So it was already breaking its 45-cent resistance before the news was released. And that's what I was saying in my previous video, that the news, I don't even know if I was saying it in the previous video, I was saying it in comments where other people were like, XRP to zero, XRP to zero. No, it was already on a downtrend. The whole market was probably retracing from its pumps in the 24th of November. So it was already in a downtrend. News gets dropped. Weak hands get shaken out. Resistance levels get broken. Bang, bang, bang. And luckily enough, it didn't go any lower. I mean, if it had have broken through 20, we could have been in trouble. Not as in not in permanent trouble, but if it had broken 20, there was a lot of volume down there at 20, bang, it could have fallen through to 16. And you can see here that this long-term downward trend line is at 15 cents on that daily candle, or 16 cents or whatever you want to call it. So there still is a chance that it will touch 16. And if it does, I will be loading my bags. And I believe, without knowing this, without being a tinfoil hatter, that there is a lot of over-the-counter orders going on in this range for banks, for businesses that want to use XRP in the future. Whether it's Ripple that runs it or not, somebody is going to use XRP as the fastest cross-border payments cryptocurrency in the world. It is the fastest. It's undeniably the fastest. Somebody can invent a faster one, but all the legwork's been done. You know, the market advantage has been done by Ripple. So if it's not Ripple, it's somebody that's going to buy or use Ripple's technology to do it. So just understand that and have a look at another few things. So this green line following there deviates, retraces, comes well back down below it. But see, the candle close on the 23rd was in and around that trend line, opened again, went up, and now it's coming back. So it wants to be around this trend line until it breaks out again. And I think until it gets above 30 and 30 and a half, and hopefully it gets there before the end of the month, we might see another little burst. We might see ourselves get it back above the 63 and then consolidate again. I don't know. And I'm not even going to try and predict what's going to happen in the future. I do know that the long-term targets still hold. I do know that once we get above 90 cents, that it is kind of clear sailing. Once we get above $1, it's kind of clear sailing. Yes, it might overextend above $1, come back to our 70 cents, and then go on above all-time highs. It could break all-time highs immediately, but what we need to understand is that whatever happened in the last week is normal. It is par for course, and it is okay. So I'm going to go back to the monthly chart. And go back to the monthly chart just to reaffirm that we are following our yearly moving average. We are above our yearly moving average, which is bullish. We are above our trend line of our monthly candles. Low, higher, low. So as long as these monthly candles keep closing above this trend line in the future, we are still bullish. Nothing has broken down. Go to the weekly candles, same deal. We are following this trend line. This is our upward trend line. This is our gradual trend line. And I think you need to understand that XRP will spike well beyond this trend line. But if we drag this out now, and we drag this out till January 23rd, it is telling us that XRP baseline, if it follows this trend, is $1.55. Now, it'll spike well beyond that and it'll come back. And it'll spike well beyond that and it'll come back. But if we go now even further and keep dragging it out and saying that this is our upward trend on the weekly chart, yes, we're going to get to 7 and we're going to use 7 as support, but it is going to bounce away from that because it is cryptocurrency. It is volatile. It is the most volatile market in the world. And we just need to understand that. And you could probably hear that I'm not being anything hypey at the moment. I'm just I'm coming from an angle that I understand a little bit more now since watching a trader and watching his video and watching him say, hey, this is normal. I was preparing this. I think that trader in particular bought a bunch at 16 cents and has accumulated all the way through here, held and sold, from the 44 range up to the 60 range, and not knowing that it would extend out to 80. And he sold a bunch, and then he waited and he waited and he waited, and they had an order set for 20. It didn't fire, and they end up getting it at 22. So they doubled or tripled their initial quantity of XRP from buying here, selling here, and then starting again. So now, because of what was meant to happen in this overextension, and then came back down, and that's what can happen, and that's what the whales do. They buy down here when it's low, they sell up here, and then they buy back in, and their bags are full and fuller and fuller and fuller. Now, I'm not a whale. I just held. I added about a 20th of what I own, again, because I'm not super wealthy. But I just held. I held because I'm not subscribing to this panic. And I just want to see over here, once again, we've got a lot of green going on. All I've seen recently is random activity of large 15% and this and that. And you've got to remember that all through here, XRP was moving 1 cent, half a cent in a day. Now it's moving by 5 to 10 cents in a 15-minute candle. So things are on the move. There is activity. There is market movement. All through here, you can see volume low, really low. Then February comes along, above average, above the yearly average of volume, above the yearly average volume selling. Everyone's panicking. They're going, I want out of this. And then the whales come in, or people that are smart come in and go, I'm buying up that. I'm buying that dip. I'm buying that March dip. I'm buying that panic. And then selling comes in, because some of it's FOMO, some of it gets sold out. Then it follows that yearly moving average of volume until November. Exceeds it by a third, and then exceeds it even more in the selling volume. So we just need to understand that this is par for course. We've got our averages, we've got our yearly averages, we've got our RSIs. So we are back on course. We've just had a little spike. We're heading towards the bull zone here. We're waiting for this blue line to cross this yellow line. And if you are a trader that just wants quick action on your money, well, wait for these two to cross. Wait for the yearly and the 3 yearly moving average to cross. And it's going to be somewhere around here, somewhere around the 32, 35 cents maybe, depending on what happens. And it'll probably be next month. And it's just going to fire out of there then, because all the signals will be right. You know, it's going to bounce off here. It's going to be just bullish in general. And then we've already tested 1, 2, and nearly 3 resistance levels. So they've already been tested. They don't need to be tested again. They're just going to be broken through. Weak hands have been shaken out, and we are ready. We are primed for takeoff. And I could do this analysis for every chart. And I'll just quickly go over to XLM. Same deal. It's well above its yearly average. It's come down. It's got close to testing it. It is bullish. It's ready to go. Dash. It's touching off its yearly average. It's doing the same thing. Everything is close to its yearly average. It's consolidating, ready to burst. Once this blue line hits the yellow line, it's ready to pop. EOS, same deal. It's near enough to that yearly moving average. Probably a little bit, it went a little bit below it. ZRX, same deal. It's still following that yearly moving average. Ready to pop, consolidating. So the alts are just, they're priming themselves. They're priming themselves. Litecoin. This is the most bullish one, right? This blue line and this yellow line. So the yearly, it's about to touch and cross the 3 yearly. It's going to cross it there, and it's already broken out. It is on its way. So Litecoin will be the leader. And I've heard that a lot. It'll be the leader. Ethereum, it's already crossed. So basically, Ethereum is out. It's home and hosed. It's going to run hard in the next month. Towards the end of the month and into the next month. And you can just see Bitcoin. Well, its yearly moving average has been above its 3 yearly moving average for a long time. And that's why it's bullish. That's why it's the leader. That's why the leader of the pack. So zooming out really gives us some ability to have some hindsight and have some understanding of where things have been and where they're going, and just seeing that there's some key points of indication. And this is what the professional traders do. They zoom out. They don't get sucked into other YouTube videos. They don't get sucked into hype. They just get sucked into the facts. And the facts are that when this yellow line gets close to this blue line and the candle is above it and it's closed above it and it's above this green line and we're above that 30.5 candle close on the weekly that we want to get, we'll go back to the weekly, we want to close above 30.5, then that is a good sign that we're bullish and that we're flying, and we're going to fly high, and we're probably going to be in an alt season. And I believe that XRP is going to be one of the last to really fire out of the alt season. It'll test you. It'll test you to your dying ends. But then if you held, you'll be safe. You'll be solid. You can even see it now. It's going backwards while everything's going forward. So take it or leave it, like it or not. XRP is bullish, and it is only going to get more bullish, and it is doing exactly what it is meant to do. Please like the video and share it if you like this honest, real analysis of the charts and the content. News aside, BS aside, this is what's happening. I'll see you on the next one.